Hey everybody! Welcome back to another episode of Bible and Mental Health. Today, we are going to talk about grief and loss journey. And this episode, think about what we have been experiencing during this pandemic. A lot of people lost their family, lost their jobs, lost their identities and being able to work, and lost a lot of security of having social activities and having money. And during this process, more or less, you lost a lot of opportunities of doing things like graduations, like social gatherings, birthdays, anniversaries, celebrations, or having the opportunity just to eating out and hang out in the theater and watch a movie. So, all of this contributed a grief and loss journey that we may not realize it happening in ourselves. That is exactly what we're going to talk about today. All right, let's dive into it. Today we're going to go through 4 sessions. The first session we're going to talk about what is grief and loss. Second is why I feel this way. Third is how to cope with it. And the fourth is what the Bible says. Now, let's talk about the first one. What is grief and loss? And you may wonder about it. What is grief and loss? Grief and loss is a term that we talk about it, but when we define it, it's very simple. It's a normal process of reacting to a loss. Now think about it. We just mentioned a lot of losses during this pandemic, no matter it's jobs or security or just simply some money or opportunity to hang out. Those are losses. So when we do losses, we naturally generate a normal sense of grief that we're grieving. We feel sad, we feel down, we feel not sure what we're going to face the future. That's kind of the grieving we talk about. All right. It's good to know that it's normal. Everybody has grief when they face losses. So it's a normal experience. We're going to talk about a little bit more. Think about it. What could the losses be? We already mentioned it to you guys a little bit. It's including occupational. That means a lot of people may have and being laid off, and a lot of people may retired, and you may face some of the disappointment when you cannot have a promotions. A lot of people have physical losses, like they get sick, they have illnesses and disabilities, and some will face death. And also, a lot of people have psychological losses. For example, identity losses and some of the dreams that they know they wanted to do but they cannot fulfill. And also some of the life changes unexpectedly happen. For example, like the pandemic. And you cannot go places, you cannot graduate, you cannot see your classmates and all these things. Some will be spiritual losses, that you doubt your faith and you come to a stage that you don't believe anymore, and even abandon of hope and see no way out, things like that. Those are the losses we talk about. As you can see, losses are quite common. It happens on you, happen on me, happen on a lot of people on this earth. It could be your parents, your siblings, your friends, your community members, and even just everybody on the streets on this earth. And everybody face different losses during their different stages of life. It's very, very common. Now, when we talk about grief and loss, I often tell everybody that there is a journey. Let's look at this. Grief and loss is a journey. It goes at your own pace, not everybody else. So if somebody tells you that, and hey, get over it, it has been months, No, we tell them no because this is going to your own pace. Okay? It's not everybody can tell you to get over it. When the time is right, you'll naturally recover. However, it takes time. That's why we say it go at your own pace. It's a journey. Now, the next is, of course, it will take time to walk through, to experience, and to heal. And you will need help. When I say help, that would include professional help and also the support of your family members and friends. It has its ups and downs like a roller coasters, but you will eventually complete your journey when the time is right. So I hope you understand at this point that grief and loss is normal. It naturally happens on everybody on this earth. At the same time, it go at your pace. Nobody can push you, nobody can rush you. And it will take time and take support from everybody else, including your loved ones, family and friends. I mean true friends. Not those friends and the bad influences or giving negative comments. And also need professional help if you need a therapist and psychologist and counselor, all those things, okay? All right. And we'll have ups and downs. It's not going to be an absolute smooth process. But these ups and downs, don't get so upset or so caught up with that, because sometimes a bad day can push people really, really down. But you have to understand that even you have ups and downs, but in a bigger picture, in a bigger direction, you're moving forwards towards your goal. So that's very important to remember. Now, let's talk about why I feel this way. And after knowing the process of grief and loss, and you may ask why I feel this way. I feel a lot of mixed emotions and feelings and thoughts inside of my mind. And what's going on? Well, it's good to know that it happens on adults and children. So no matter what ages you are, you naturally experience grief and loss, but they display in a different way, okay? Now, let's talk about what you may feel. Okay, on this slide, and you can see what you may feel. For example, you may feel denial. You say, no, it's not actually going on. No, I did not. I don't feel like that. So that's a natural denial. It's very common as well when you encounter something absolutely shocking, unexpected, and a lot of time people will deny what had happened. And actually, a lot of times it happens on people experience loved ones passing, and especially unexpectedly. So they did not know what to do. Then that would be the natural reactions and that they will have. The second would be like disappointment. Feel very disappointed by the things not going their way they desire or expected to be. For example, that we have pandemic right now. That's a lot of people cannot go out as they wanted to. They cannot do the activities they intended to do. That would cause a lot of disappointments and disappointment to the world, the society, the leadership, and even themselves. All right, next one. Sometimes the people will have anger. The anger, feel anger about the chaos and messy and unwanted consequences and behind the events. So think about that during our pandemic right now. There's a lot of chaos, a lot of messy situations going on around the world. In this situation, a lot of people will have anger. Anger about medical staff, and anger about the vaccines not coming fast enough, and anger about the leadership and not doing wise decisions, opening too quickly or not quick enough. And that would be just an anger, not knowing what to do of the situations. Another will be confusions, feeling lost and confused about what to do at the moment and how to move forwards and all the changes. So think about yourself at this pandemic, that a lot of you or us, and that we may lost our jobs and we don't have financial support for the family, and we don't know how to move on forwards, and some of the graduates and have been gone through a whole semester for online learning, and they probably will face another semester online learning in college, or all these things and unknown and unsettled, and that will cause a lot of confusions. So if you experience all this mixture of the feelings and thoughts and emotions together, that is very normal to encounter in grief and loss journey. Okay. All right. Next, keep going. But for children, it displays a little differently. So children will also have those feelings and thoughts and emotion we just talked about. But for children and youth, sometimes it plays out in a different picture. For example, irritable. They may be irritable that the children and youth often displays an irritability for experiencing their sadness or anxiety. And sometimes they would display in a very feeling down or lacking energy and lacking interest. Nothing can interest them anymore. They just want to lay in bed for the whole day. And that will also cause their sleep and appetite changes. They sleep too much, sleep too little, eat too much, eat too little. Those will cause experiencing struggles. And also not willing to talk. It takes a lot of trust for children and youth to talk about what they want to think and feel. And it's important for adults to open up and build a safe environment for them to feel not judgmental, and so that they can feel free to talk about anything and not worry about being judged by adults. So if children or youth sense that judgment from adults, they won't open up usually. They decide, well, you're going to judge me anyway, so it's better for me to say nothing, that kind of thing. So it's very important to build a very open and honest and safe environment for them to come over and talk about it. So if you see anything of those in the children and youth, that will give you a little hint saying that, hey, they may experience some struggle and they may need some help. All right. Now you understand that in this whole process, you are not alone right here. It happens on everybody. It happens to you and me and everybody else. But there's always hope, no matter how dark the situations it may seem to you. And it's always important to ask for help if you need any, from family and friends and community and even professional. Those are very important key elements right there. No matter that you yourself struggle in it, or you know your friends or family or any other people that you encounter will struggle with it. It's important to know this is happening and have awareness and know what to do with it, how to have a coping skill to deal with it. Now we're going to talk about how to cope with it. And after we know all this, like definitions and how I feel and things like that, so you know the cause, you know the symptom. Now, how are we gonna cope with it? We're gonna say talk it out, take it slow and easy, because it's a journey after all. And no matter you seek professional help or not, and you're gonna need families and friends support. And if you have church communities and church members, and that will be a great help as well. But yourself, it's going to take time, and this times it could be months, it could be years. It's really different depending on personal experience. We deal with the case by case. And this moment, you have to understand, it's a journey. It's a journey. Think about when you take a journey, you don't have an exact time frame that, 3 months since today, then it will be healed. However, a journey, it will take time. A journey will take energy. So those are the elements you have to take considerations. Don't rush it. Just take time with it. Take it easy with it. All right. Now, after knowing that it's a journey, it takes time, go with your pace, it's also important to talk it out with the people you trust. That could be your family members, it could be your spouse, it could be even your adult children. Sometimes it could be your therapist, your psychologists and counselors, and all this professional too. And take it one day at a time. Okay, every day has its burden. Take it one day at a time. That is enough. Find support from your loved ones, and that will include your best friends. That could be your parents, and could be your spouse. It could be anybody that you love and you trust the most. And also explore your joy, no matter how small it may seem. And it's important that to realize joy does exist in this world, no matter how small it may seem. And it could be very, very small things. For example, open your eyes and in the morning and found out, hey, I'm still alive. That could be a very small thing to be thankful for. And clean water and drink and shower and being able to take a shower, all those things, it seems very little. Or just have your favorite meal of the day, and or play your favorite game of the day for an hour. That could be a very simple thing to be thankful for and could be joyful for. So no matter how small it is, try to find and enjoy the little tiny small things every day. That will help you to feel more positive in a daily basis. Never let the bad make you forget about the good. You are always moving forward and you will complete journey in your time. So we have to take heart, and you will have ups and downs, but take it easy. That goes back to the point that we say it's a journey, that you will have ups and downs. But never forget that you are moving forward. Think about a roller coaster, and you start at the starting point, and your goal is to reach the ending point. But in between, you have all the ups and downs, all the ups and downs. But overall, you are moving towards your goal. You're moving towards your destination. That is how life works. We are sometimes so caught up in all the ups and downs at the small picture, but forgot the bigger picture, that we are moving forward. We are moving towards our goals. So that's very, very important to take heart in this journey. All right. Besides that, we also have to remember 3A. Okay, the first A is acknowledge. Acknowledge your thoughts, your feelings, and your emotions. It's very important. The second A is accept. Your world and your life have been changed for the event. And appreciation. That's a new possibility and opportunity will bring new life for the better and greater purposes. Well, let's take this pandemic as an example. We acknowledge that what happened during this pandemic, that a lot of people lost jobs, lost friends, lost families, and lost their identities of being able to work, being able to earn money, being able to do this and that, go out to celebrate anything. We acknowledge that that is a fact, and we acknowledge that feelings have been hurt, and a lot of this fact has been happened. So we have to acknowledge this is the fact that it does happen, and it caused some damages in different people's life. Now let's go to the second A, that we have to accept it. We could choose to deny it. It's like, oh man, it really did not happen, and I don't believe it anymore. However, the healing starts when you acknowledge it and accept it. a lot of grief and loss clients, and especially when they lost a loved one, they could acknowledge it, but they cannot accept the fact that it happened. It caused a lot of unfinished business that we'll talk about. So during this pandemic, it's important that we know, hey, this event caused a lot of damage around the world. We have to accept it. Say, yes, it does happen, and what we are going to do now. It happens on me, happen on you, and everybody else. What to do now? That will lead to the appreciation. Even though it does cause damage, it does cause lost opportunities. However, it did cause another new possibility and opportunities. For example, internet booming, YouTube booming, Twitch booming, and Zoom booming, and all those cyber digital industries booming. Those are another possibility, an opportunity that we could find and we could appreciate it for. And that also means everybody will have to learn more about internet, and everybody have to engage in more digital events and digital age. It pushed the whole world to a different level in a digital world. It's really, really interesting that internet plays such a big role in this pandemic. It just it sounds like we can foresee in the next 50 years internet will take over the whole world. However, the pandemic pushed this button and make this internet ages to move faster than a silver decade. So it's a new opportunity, new possibility that we may have to embrace in order to move forward. Some new jobs will be created, some new venue will be created because of this. So we have to accept it and appreciate it in order to move forward, continue to create new possibility, opportunity for ourselves, our families, and everybody else. Now let's talk about what did the Bible say. And in our channel, you often encounter a lot of Christian faith content because I'm a Christian, and as a content creators, and I would like to create content related to the Christian faith. So let's talk about after everything that we have heard from a professional standpoint, perspective, and what did the Bible say about grief and loss? Hold on to hope and truth and promises. Let's look at what's it about. Now, let's look at the first one, John 11:35. It's very short, and that is the shortest Bible verses in the whole Bible Jesus read. So, what are the contents in that? In the books of John chapter 11, that Lazarus died, the one that Jesus' dear friend, died. So when a friend passed away, it was a loss. So people naturally grieve, and crying is a behavior or sign of grieving. And what does Jesus do at that moment? He cried. He simply just cried, and he let out his emotions, and because he was grieving, he was sad. And that brings up another point of the whole grief and loss. It's okay to express your emotions and feelings and thoughts, because I know a lot of clients and a lot of people and have their own cultural backgrounds or family teaching or even religious instructions and saying that you should not cry, or even because you are a boy you cannot cry. So just be careful of those pop culture or cultural teachings that they may not be right. And if you have emotions and naturally healthily, it's okay to express this. So the first scripture, Jesus wept. So he cried. If God himself, he cried, able to express his emotions naturally, why we cannot do it? So yeah, that's the first one. All right, second one is Psalms 143. He heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds. So when a person has a broken heart and he lost something dearly to the heart, and naturally the heart has been broken. So to all of those, all of us and who lost their jobs and lost their identity, lost this and that, and they are brokenhearted. And the good news is God Himself, He heals the brokenhearted. He binds up their wounds. So even it's hurtful, it's okay, because God Himself, He will heal you. He is close to you, and He will use these wounds to build something beautiful for you in the future. So that's very good news and hope and comfort right there. Now the next one is Psalms 34, verse 18. The Lord is near the brokenhearted and saved the crushed in spirit. And that's very similar to the one we just read. He heals the brokenhearted. So it's a promise that we have to trust in the Lord, and He can help us out because of this. And that is very, 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 very good promises. We have to remember that whenever you have the broken heart experience, Jesus understood, because Himself, He has a broken heart to the lost and as well. And think about He cried for His friend's Lazarus passed away. So He Himself experienced, He knows what a broken heart feels like, and He's close to it. He will hear your prayers and He will heal you right there. So it's very, very comforting to know that that's the promise that Jesus has. Right, the next one is Matthew chapter 5, verse 4. Blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted. And the same thing, that's even you're mourning, even you feel sad, don't forget there's always hope, and don't forget that there's always comfort behind the scenes. That even though we don't see it, but it's written down in Scripture, and we can feel it, and we have to trust on it. That's our faith comes in to believe the unseen, All right, there's another two scriptures I want to present to you all. And the first one is okay, for everything there's a season and a time for every matter under heaven. A time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant, and a time to pluck up what is planted. A time to kill, and a time to heal, a time to break down, a time to build up, a time to weep, a time to laugh, a time to mourn, and a time to dance, a time to cast away stones, a time to gather stone together, a time to embrace, and a time to refrain from embracing. All right. In short words, it has its seasons. Life is a journey, and it has seasons. So maybe the season of 2020 for everybody, maybe quarantine and maybe stay at home, maybe having a rough time, different aspects. However, this is going to be temporary, okay? This is not going to be forever. No matter how it may seem to look like in the future, we'll have to trust that everything has its time. Pandemic, coronavirus has its time to rise. It has its time to fade away. So it's very, very important for all of us to understand the seasonal, temporary struggles that would go away eventually. So no matter what we're facing, it's going to be temporary. It's going to be seasonal. No matter how dark it is, the dark will fade away, because eventually the lights will come in. No matter how difficult it is and hit the bottom and rock bottom, it will bounce up, because you will not continue in the bottom at all forever. So it's really, really important to keep your hopes up and knowing that whatever you're experiencing, it may be temporary. All right, next one is that come to me, all who labored and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and lowly in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For your yoke is easy and my burden is light. Now this one we'll have to ask ourselves to willingly allow Jesus to carry our yoke. And that would also means we realize our limitations, knowing that, yes, I cannot do this by my own. Yes, I need you, Jesus. Yes, I need you, Lord. Please help me. So all of those elements, and it plays into a healthy part that when you allow God to come in your life, when you allow God to take control of your life and to share your burden, that the joy would double and your burden will reduce into half. So that is the magic right here, that you have to have willingness to invite him in, and you have to have the willingness to allow yourself to walk with Jesus together. So to wrap up this whole grief and loss today, that we talked about what is grief and loss, how does it feels like and looks like in children and adults, and how we can healthily cope with it with professional help and with family and friends and with your individual abilities. And we also talked about what the Bible talk about it, the truth, the promises, and how Jesus even deal with it himself. So I hope that would be helpful for y'all. If you guys have any questions, welcome to comments below and let me know what kind of question that you have, and I would answer you as the best of my ability. Thank you very much for watching.